I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. Whenever I look at the graphic of Reasonably Sure and I see myself there, I think, God, my animated me looks even bigger than real me. And part of the reason that there's bigness at all is because of a restaurant called John and Vinny's here in Los Angeles. And I'm really happy to be now with John Shook and Vinny Dotolo, the proprietors, and chefs and creators. But it's more of a story than that. First of all, LA is adopted for both of you, right? It's not a place, yeah. And this isn't an LA-centric show, so we're not going to just stay in LA right now. But you both come from Florida, and you went to school in Fort Lauderdale, and you've taken. Do you like LA now?
I love LA.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
Did you love
I'm obsessed with it.
Did you love? Tell me what you're obsessed about LA.
I love the diversity and the culture and the diversity of the cultures. I think,
and the weather.
And it's somewhere I didn't grow up in a place where it was as diverse as LA is, and I think it has so much to offer to guys like us, coming from a food perspective, but just also as a human being, it's just a great place to live.
It's evolved too, and we can't help but talk about food in Los Angeles. Talk about Jonathan Gold, who just died, who was this critic, food critic, but more than a critic, he was someone who really experienced food for us, and we got to see the world through his eyes here in LA. But LA has evolved in terms of cuisine, and I saw an article the other day that was shared by the LA Times. How it was an article from 1964 about the Mexican tortilla and how it's coming to Los Angeles and it's doing so many different things here, and chefs are going to be cooking with it. And this is a place that has been accepting of those sort of cultures for a long time. Yet you guys came in here and you did something which was truly American at first, didn't you? It wasn't like exploring the cuisines of other places.
I mean, America is a melting pot. So, I mean, every region of food kind of falls in America, at least in our eyes.
Yeah.
Animal was our first restaurant here, and there was kind of just cooking what we wanted to cook. And, there was no rules for us at that time. So it was like we just explored and did things that we loved doing and what we loved eating. And we didn't follow maybe a typical structure of what a traditional restaurant looked like at the time in Los Angeles.
When you say you wanted to do what you wanted to do, before you opened a restaurant, what dish did you know that's going to be on my first menu? You have your fantasy. My first menu is going to.
I think it was probably the bacon chocolate crunch bar.
Yeah.
We had done it.
But that's an animal, because I think when we first started cooking together, we talked about really making Italian food.
We talked about doing what John and Vinny's is now.
Yeah.
Right,
Which that didn't get birthed until later on in our career here in LA.
But we knew it wouldn't separate us from the pack. There were already a good handful of restaurants that LA people were devoted to. And we knew we needed to separate ourselves from what had been typical LA food, or just food that you could find in the general vicinity of where we decided to do Animal, which is the Fairfax district.
Right.
And we knew we just had to be ourselves, but also we didn't have, like John said, we didn't have anyone looking at us like, I expect this from these guys like they do now.
Right.
We just went in there with sort of that kind of garage band, punk rock, indie spirit, and just did what we wanted to do. There was no rules. There was no boundaries. It was it was just probably the most freeing moment of our career. We had come off of doing a Food Network show that we weren't in love with, and we weren't in love with that moment in our career, and we felt forced in so many ways to do things we didn't want to do. And John and I are both people that kind of came from not following the rules.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, but I think like opening a restaurant during the crash, the financial crash in America. I mean,
but when you're so broke and so poor at the time, and like
you're willing to risk
young,
it all.
it's like we couldn't make those same kind of risks now that we could then. When we were 24 years old, it was like our fallback was to move home.
Right,
what I mean?
Right,
like,
of course.
Back to Florida, back to our parents' house, and like I don't think either one of us wanted to do that.
Right.
And we just got lucky to have an amazing partner at the time that also allowed us to kind of just be us.
Right.
And a restaurateur told me one time that your restaurants always reflect like where you're at in your life. And like Animal was a real reflection of where we were at. I mean, the reason it was so minimally designed is because we didn't have the money to build.
So it wasn't this effort at being these minimalist guys.
But what's funny is I ate there last night, and Literally, it was one of the best meals I've had there in a long time.
Really?
It was so good. I mean, you know, it's weird because like Animal also went through this stage where you couldn't get into it. It was so small, it was so packed, and like it was 10 years old now, which is like
amazing. Actually. Yeah,
I mean, it's a long time, like in restaurant or in dog life, you know, like restaurant and dog lives are
similar.
The same, so,
it's like 100.
So like, I mean, us, it's mind blowing to be 10 years old. And like I was there and it was a Monday night, it was busy, the food was delicious, service was great. I was like so proud. I was like,
that's nice.
I literally wrote them all this morning. I was like, it was one of the best meals I've had there.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you've been the chef on the other side when the owner comes in, right? At different times in your life,
well,
I'm presuming.
we were never
as cooks.
As cooks, that's what I mean. Like that's what I mean. Like, so you know the pressure of that, right? So you know that there's somebody there's someone in the kitchen sweating, making sure that this is good and this goes out. Yeah. But that still, you had the best one ever. What made it different? Like, what do you think happened that night? Or was it just your reflective? Yeah.
No, I think it was just I'm in a different stage of my life that I could go in there and I could sit down and relax and enjoy a great meal, knowing that the kitchen is cooking at a level that I highly respect, and that the team is so together that I feel comfortable that I can let my guard down and just enjoy a meal there.
Which is great.
And that is that says something. Part of the reason we're able to be here right now is because we have an amazing team,
and I think it also says a lot about. Year one and year two, I don't think we were our best.
Right.
We're so much more well-rounded, I think. We were, we probably leaned really left, then. And it's like, we're a little more in the middle now, and we're a little more well-rounded as a restaurant and in its entirety.
So it's sort of like a maturing process.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
It's like, I think you go out there and it's like, we're playing our best right now.
Right.
It's like we were good then.
Right.
But it was a little bit, it was a little loose.
I mean, we've learned so much in 10 years, like to go into Animal and like see the creative ideas that are on the menu now to where it was day one is night and day. Yeah. And like, I think that's the beauty of it.